Hey there, this is Mark Stacy, and welcome to my channel. Um, we're going to talk about schizophrenia. Isn't that a fantastic subject? There's a lot of you out there that have contacted me, and I'm new to YouTube, so I will try to look over here and not over here. But without my glasses, I can't really see, so I'm going to try. I wrote the book Tapped and Skipped, Hope in the Midst of Madness. Um, we're going to talk about it. Nobody wants to, but I'm going to talk about it loudly. There's a gap. There's a gap in the care for people with severely mentally illness. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups. I hear this story over and over, and I'm going to jump on YouTube and I'm going to scream it. There's no long-term care for severely mentally ill people. There. You can all say it with me because you all know, or a lot of you do. And if you don't know, read my book. Don't read the other ones that are very famous that talk about schizophrenic people that go to the college and they graduate and they do these fantastic things. Because my experience, my daughter, she would never be able to function in that capacity. So in schizophrenia and a lot of neurodivergent illnesses, there are so many varying degrees, and a lot of the attention for schizophrenia, in my humble opinion, that people have gotten are on the people that can function. Well, my daughter is not in that category, and I want her to be very badly, but um, I've a little history. I've been taking care of my daughter full time as her caregiver for 12 years. Well, 13 years now, since 2012. She has been hospitalized since 2012, 35 times now. She's been found incompetent, but she had charges against her. She was sent to a state hospital where she thrived. It's the first time I've seen her. I saw glimpses of her, like her, my baby. And then I thought that was it. She was finally taken care of for life. And then one day she called me from the street, and they had released her because they couldn't keep her. And I was devastated because of her history of threatening me. And I couldn't let her live with me. Something's got to change about that, people. So it's a long story. It's 55,000 words. You can read it in 5 hours. Go to Google, Tapped and Skipped. It comes right up. Read the reviews. There's a lot of them that say that they read the whole thing cover to cover. And it takes 5 hours, according to, I don't know, I read slowly. I have slight dyslexia, so everything I do is more difficult than people who don't see things backwards and all that. Um, anyway, this is about 10 years of my life, and it hasn't killed me yet. I still do have hope. It's really hard some days, and I just need encouragement. And I feel like so many people have reached out and they've said, you know, similar stories. They've said, thank you for not making me feel alone, because one of the reasons I wrote this is just people don't understand. And then once it did come out and it started to gain popularity, um, because this book, just so you know, it came out in January of 2022. Um, I went through, it was like devastatingly hard to write. Um, I I gained 10 pounds from stress eating, because that's what I do. That's in the next book too. I have that. Anyway, I'm a mess of a person. Um, anyway, I gained 10 pounds stress eating writing this book. I broke out in hives on my face, and um, I, I developed a twitch that I had forgotten about until just now. Um, I also did not sleep for most of 2 month period. I wrote this book mostly at night, and I I just had to put it out in the world. I felt God called me to write it, which sounds so weird, but that's the truth. And I didn't feel worthy of that, to the point where my oldest daughter, who's Naomi in this book, she actually wrote on my mirror in my master bedroom, "You are worthy of a calling. You are, worthy." Da, 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 and I was like, I just had to look at that, and I thought, you know what? Um, I'm just gonna put it out there, and it's very vulnerable. I don't sugarcoat anything, so just so you know, read the disclaimer, because it's very raw and it's very real, and it's just my walkthrough with you. So I'm a real person, and we are real people, and we are still struggling after this long of a period. We are still struggling, and there's some really major things going on right now, and um, I'll talk about them at some point. Anyway, this book is self-published. I did everything. I did research. I tried my very, very best to make it the highest quality that I could possibly afford. I hired people to do the design, the formatting, the book cover, I had to learn so many things, but I just wanted to get this true, real, raw story out in the public. And I have a Christian counselor. She's wonderful. And I was going to her because I was struggling about, like, I have that poor self-worth, and I was really struggling with that, and I didn't feel like I could do something like this. And she said, "What are you afraid of? Are you afraid no one will ever read it?" And I looked at her, and I thought about it for a second, and I said, "You know what? I'm afraid they will." And it has been quite the process. Like, when it first came out, I tried to do the, publicity thing. I went on iHeartRadio and did an interview on 55 KRC. You can actually find that. I'll try to find it and link it if I can figure out how to do that. I did some promos. I did a talk at the library. And I felt like those went well, but I just was struggling myself, like depression and anxiety, and I was not handling just the reality of it all, because I'm still having to be the caregiver. I still have a little, spoiler alert, son that, I'm 61, and I have a son, spoiler alert, who's 8, and he has severe ADHD. But at that time, I was just very depressed about the whole situation, that it was never getting better, that there was nothing I could do, and that here I had spent, I had gone through all of this to put this book out into the world, and it's gaining popularity. And the reality hits me that, yes, other people are going to be aware, and that might eventually help. Somewhere out there, somebody's going to grab a hold of it, and somebody's going to change something that I can't seem to change. And that was my goal, awareness. And it's been in the top 10 best-selling books on Kindle in schizophrenia for over a year. And it blows my mind. It got all the way to number 2, I think was the highest. I didn't get to number 1 because I'm a self-published author with no backing, with no help from anybody for advertising or marketing or anything. I have to do everything myself. Even, I've hired a couple people to promote it a little bit here and there. I'm on X at jmark_Stacy. I am not very good at X. I'm trying. I'm sorry to ramble, but I want to be proud that's a huge accomplishment, evidently, but it doesn't really help me and my daughter in our situation. And my youngest daughter is still struggling, even though she has, spoiler alert again, she's been recovered for 7 years. She's doing so great. But because she was an addict for so long, she has lots of health problems. And she just still struggles with some, a lot of issues that are similar, issues that other longtime opiate addicts, she was a heroin addict and fentanyl. She was addicted to fentanyl. It's a miracle that she's alive, and I thank God every day that my children are still alive. Are they thriving? I want that more than anything. And we're just going to go one day at a time. I know this is going to relate to a lot of you because you have reached out. Be brave. Tell your stories. It is hard. It's still hard. I'm on YouTube. I don't know how to do YouTube. I'm going to let you all in my life. Welcome to my world. I'm going to drag you with me and make someone understand that this, and I'm sorry for looking over here. I don't have my glasses on, so I know the camera's here, and I'm doing the best I can to look at the camera. Sorry in advance. I can't see very well without my glasses. So, forgive me. I feel very strongly that we can make a difference. Our loved ones would never choose this mental illness that's plaguing their minds. And I don't understand why. Why is it that the brain is less important than, for instance, the spine? And that doesn't mean that I'm against anyone that is in a wheelchair or etc. But there's help for them. There's real help. If you're in a wheelchair, if you take my daughter's brain and make it as if she had to be in a wheelchair, I could get real help. I could get a waiver for Medicaid or Medicare. I can't remember. And I could get someone to come in and help me with her. I can't get that. She has violence in her history. She doesn't qualify for group homes because she thought a police officer was a demon. and she was arrested for harming a police officer because her brain is broken. It's shattered. Why is that less important? It's an organ of your body you can't live without. I just don't understand why there's not more help. If I had not done the things in this book, extraordinary, over the top, my daughter would have been homeless for these last 4 years, 5, since December of 2020. You can do the math. This is May of 2025. There's a lot of you out there. I think that together we can bring about some change. We can keep hope. I haven't given up. I'm frustrated. I will never give up. That's my dog's outside. Sorry. I mean, I'm a real person. Right now, this is a camper. I live in a camper in Florida because my house got put on the market and it sold in 10 days. I had nowhere to go. So my husband, my loving husband, which in the book I call him my loving husband. I don't even name him by name. A little quick story about that, just to bring a little bit lightness into this. The reason I call him my loving husband instead of giving him a name is because the terrible divorce that I went through, and I was married for almost 20 years to, my children's father, and went really south. It was really, really like cops on speed dial bad at the end. Won't talk about that. Father and my children. Anyway, my husband, that now we've been married for 17 years, but I still call him husband because his name is the same name as my ex. So there you go, a little tidbit about me. And that's why in this book I never name my loving husband by his name. So I'm gonna close it out. Bye for now. Please subscribe to the channel because I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but we are going to get through this together. I'm going to bring you into my real life so that you have some kind of hope, because even though I seem really angry, I will never give up. I will never give up on my child. I will never give up the faith that I have in God to help us through these situations. And pull out your Bibles. Pull out those verses that make you feel a little bit more hopeful in this life. And I'm going to ride along with you. And we're going to get through this. So please do not give up your hope in the midst of all this madness. Maybe we can make a difference. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, because if you don't, I can't make more videos. I'm only going to make 10 to start out to see if there's any interest, and I love all of you.